Well, hello. I'm going to show you how to do my Peaceful Day stitch. This is a really, really lovely stitch. I really like it. I'm having lots of fun working it. And it looks a lot harder than it is. It's actually a really easy stitch. Okay, really easy. It really is. Okay. It has no purls. I think you'll love doing this one. Really nice for any kind of a shawl or scarf. Okay, the yarn I'm using is a Stell Atlantis. I really like this yarn. It has nice colors and little flecks of silver threads in it. And this color is called Sorcery. It's a bulky. Okay, so that's the yarn I'm using. I've lost my loom hook, but I'll find it. Okay, the loom I'm using is a Cindwood Loom. It's 3/4 inch. It's 42 pegs, but that doesn't matter. I didn't use 42 pegs. I used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 pegs. No, 16. It has to be even with the 2 end pegs. Okay, yeah, it has to be even. So that's the other thing. You need to use even pegs. This can also be done in the round. But you should have even pegs or you'll have one peg that doesn't work. Okay, so I'm just going to put you on pause and find what I did with my loom hook. Okay, so the important thing is to set up your loom. Some of you may not have to do this, but that's sure not me. It's really easy to make a mistake. So you want 2 end pegs and you mark them. The next 2 pegs, you don't have to mark them, but you can if you want to mark with 2 different colors. I just don't mark in my other pegs. So these 2 pegs will be worked together. These 2 will be worked together. Then the next 2 I marked because they'll be worked together. Didn't mark these, they'll be worked together. These 2 will be worked together. I marked them. These 2 will be worked together. I didn't mark them. These 2 together. So you see how that goes. We're going to be working in 2 peg pairs. And then we have our 2 ends right here. So if you mark it like that, it will make it really easy. You can use tape here or whatever system you have. Or if you're really good at remembering, you wouldn't have to. So there you go. Okay, it's a 2-row stitch. The pegs that are marked are for when you go this way. Or if you want to do it the other way, you can reverse it. But these markers are for the row that I'm going to do this way. And then when I come this way, I'm just going to ignore the markers. Okay? I'm just going to zoom out a little bit. Okay. And then we'll get started. Oh, let's just talk about this so you can do a project on your own. This is a stitch video, but I'll give you enough info to do a project. So I did the chain stitch. That is linked on the video in the description. Scroll down, you'll see the link, and that'll show you the chain stitch if you need that. And on the side with my owl eye edge, here's what you have. Just a nice edge. Okay. On the other side, looks like this. Okay, let's get started. Okay, I've already done my 2 pegs at the edge, so we don't need to worry. But here's the first 2 peg pair that goes together. So what we're going to do is take our working yarn, put it behind those 2 pegs, and do an E-wrap over 2 pegs. And then we're just going to knit it off and keep it loose. Then I'm going to come back, same 2 pegs, and do an U-wrap over them, nice and loose, and you can pull everything to make sure it stays loose. If you start to get too tight, just pull it out so it's loose enough, and then knit it over. Okay, then you go over to the next 2 peg pair, wrap them together, and knit them off, keeping it loose. If you start to get too tight, loosen them up, just like that. Come back over and do a U-wrap, and knit it off. Next 2 peg pair, do an E-wrap behind them, knit it off, go back over them in a U-wrap, and knit them off. Okay, next 2 peg pair, go behind them, knit them off, come back in front in the U-wrap nice and loose, and remember, you can always loosen it up if it gets too tight. Okay, 2 peg pair, U-wrap them, or E-wrap them, I mean. Now you U-wrap. Okay, next 2 peg pair, E-wrap them, come back over and U-wrap them. Now we got the 2 end pegs, and we're going to do owl eye border. So we come over peg 1 in a U-wrap, knit it off, re-wrap behind it and over peg 1 and 2, knit it off, keeping it loose, keeping it really loose, especially on the edge stitch. Make sure it's nice and loose. Okay, because it's fairly a long stitch. We want to not have the edge get too tight. And then I went over the both of them. Now I want to do my second wrap on this peg. This peg should always have 2 wraps on it. Okay, that will balance. That's how you do the owl eye, but this is how you want to balance these, because these have 2 wraps each on them. Okay, so now we're going to do the roses and chains stitch. Now this is going to have 3 wraps on it. Okay, you can look on my channel if you want to see the roses and chains stitch, but we're going to go over in a U-wrap. Then we're going to come back over that same peg in a U-wrap, going the opposite way, and then back the way we're going in a U-wrap, keeping it loose. That's all there is to this pattern. Pretty easy. U-wrap, 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 U-wrap backwards, U-wrap frontwards. See? Very easy. U-wrap, U-wrap, and another U-wrap. That's all there is to it. So we'll work our way down to the other end, and I'll show you how to do the end pegs on that side. And I'm just going to have to pull some yarn out. It's getting kind of tight here. There we go. Okay. Now if you've completed the stitch, you'll always know which way you're going, because your yarn will be here going forward. Yeah, see, I told you this stitch was way easier than it looks. Well, once you mark it, it's just very, very easy to do. Do it without even thinking. And this is the stitch right here, the roses and chains, that gives it all the texture. Okay, now when we've done this, we come to this edge peg. We need to do owl eye, so we're going to go over peg 1, wrap peg 1 and 2 nice and loose. Pull it out if it's not loose. Come back over it. Make sure it's nice and loose. Knit it off. Come back and do your second wrap on here. Now here's your 2 peg pairs, and you're just going to E-wrap them, making sure it's loose. It can start to build up tight if you're not keeping an eye on it. And then over it in the U-wrap, right? So E-wrap it, U-wrap it, E-wrap it, U-wrap it, 2 peg pair, E-wrap them, U-wrap them. Now, such an easy stitch, and it'll look like you really worked hard to get this pattern. It has the look of something that would be very, very hard to do and complicated, but it's not at all. So you can just whip along. You're doing 2 stitches on every peg, and when you come the other way, you're doing 3 stitches on every peg. So this is a really fast stitch to do and work up, and you can do a lot of work in a very short time. Okay, now we're on the 2 edge pegs, and again we go over peg 1, wrap 1 and 2, making sure you're loose. Want the edge pegs to be nice and loose so that they aren't tighter. We want them to be stretchy and be the same as what we have here, so nothing can curl, right? Okay, and then we come back over the 2 of them, and second wrap on this peg, and then we go into the roses and chains all the way across, right? U-wrap, backwards U-wrap, and U-wrap. U-wrap, backwards U-wrap, and U-wrap. And that's all there is to it. Really, really easy stitch to do, and look at what you get. So I hope you enjoyed that video, and I hope you have lots of fun with this stitch. Okay, until next time, bye.